Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our public meeting of planning for Monday, May 11th, 2026. Calling for any disclosure of conflict of interest. Seeing none. Motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the public meeting of planning agenda on Monday, May the 11th, 2026.
Are there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Ratify the minutes. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the minutes of the public meeting and planning of Monday, March 23rd, 2026.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Motion is carried. None opposed. Zoning bylaw amendment Z07 2026, Wilco Finger. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so the applicant and owner in this case of this file, Mr. Wilco Finger. The address, 1225 Aberdeen Road, considered Vancouver Hill there. So this is the map, so you see the yellow box is Dalkey, and the red line is the 417. So it's way up north, at the northeast corner of the township. And that's the property as a whole. So as you can see, there's already a lot that was created prior to 1995 that I was able to search back then. So this lot is, it doesn't affect what we're doing here today. The big agricultural lot that we're severing off today is considered a lot as a whole. So it's not like a second lot that's been created or whatever. It's really completely separate. There's a drain running right across the property. And there's the tracks that run north-south that are used by the Hawkesbury. So this is a close-up of where we're setting off. So as you can see, this is a surplus dwelling. So 1225, where you have the number, we're severing the house and the accessory garage from the remainder of the property that is currently being used mostly as agricultural already. And that used to be an old barn. Will remain on the agricultural portion, so no change of use is necessary, and the owner may decide to either keep it or demolish it, but it will remain with the agricultural lot regardless. So the purpose for the application, to rezone the retained portion, so the larger portion, 83.6 acres, to basically just to prohibit residential development, and to rezone the severed portion, so the smaller residential portion, 2.8 acres to prohibit agricultural uses. So this is the most typical and standard surplus dwelling that you can have. There's no lot frontage is okay, lot area is okay, everything's all right. So just because this is a severance, the zoning bylaw amendment is still required to comply with conditions of severance application B08-26 that the owner made. So that's, as I mentioned, the retained portion, mostly used as agricultural already. The applicant already in discussion about clear cutting all the south portion. So in the near future, don't be surprised if you see all those trees there in the south disappear. The owner will use it all as agricultural for fields and crops. And the severed portion, so the owner wanted to have a bigger lot, I guess. It was discussed, and then at the end of the day, this is what was approved by the county. So the property line on the south, north, follows the creek. So the creek is the property line, and then it cuts back to incorporate the dwelling and the garage on the residential portion. So official plan designation, pretty straightforward, agricultural resource lands, and as you can see, surrounded by ag lands as well, and our zoning layer, exact same thing, so agricultural all around. So in this area, as you know, you'll find mostly fields, some rural residential property, but even the properties that you see with the hash marks there, these are all properties that we have already made the zoning to prohibit residential development. So it's really agricultural all around. So the size, as I mentioned, both portions are compliant with the zoning bylaw. So 83.6 acres for the retained, 74 acres is required, and for the severed portion, 2.8, and in our current zoning bylaw, only 1 acre is required for residential property as such, so both are compliant. Same thing for frontage, both have frontage on Aberdeen Road. The retained portion, 731 meter, so only 200 is required. And for the severed portion, 137 is proposed when only 45 is required. So we have lots, everything is also compliant with zoning. Just some other important facts. It's currently used as residential, so where the dwelling is, and fields. So there are no proposed changes after zoning bylaw and consent, aside from, as I mentioned, a little bit of clearing. So there will be actually more agricultural lands being used on the retained portion by the owner. Building-wise, so there's 2 existing buildings on the severed portion that will remain as is. So one is the dwelling, one is the accessory storage building, and one agricultural storage will remain on the ag portion. So that's just a little close-up of the property right there. You see the 2 buildings on the pink portion and the one garage. I have some pictures, I think, right there you go. So this is the dwelling. Septic system is in front there, you see, on the west side of the house, and the garage at the back. So this is a little picture looking north. So these are the 2 buildings. I didn't count that small storage building on the right there. The big garage in the house are the 2 buildings that remain on the res portion. And then this is, so you see the creek running across the property. So the creek will become the property line. Right now, as you see there, there's like a bridge or a culvert crossing the drain. So we have received comments from Reason Region Conservation. So if the owner would want to either remove that bridge, or if they want to alter the drain in any way, we will have to consult with them. But in this case, it doesn't, like the owner could decide to do it or not. There's another entrance already existing for the agricultural portion also. So there's one civic address and entrance for the house, and there's another entrance south of there. I think I have pictures south of there for the agricultural lands. So driveways, one for the house and one for the field. So this is the one. So I'm looking south. So you see the driveway on the left-hand side. I'm looking south on Aberdeen Road. That's the residential entrance there. And if you that's a shot from Google Maps. So now I'm looking north, and the dwelling is way at the back. You see the garage in the woods there. So this is the field entrance. So with this entrance, because the ag lands goes all around the dwelling, the owner may decide to keep the little culvert to be able to cross, or create another one to actually be able to cross the creek on this property. You'll have to consult with Reason Region, but it's feasible. But they have access via both sides in the neighborhood. Standard stuff here. The Planning Act, as you know, allows council to pass such bylaws. Provincial policy statement and SDG, so they permit these types of severances that are considered surplus dwelling for farming for agricultural use. So in this case, that's exactly what we're doing. Everything is respected, so it's encouraged efficiency of the land, etc. SDG official plan, same thing. They have already given their blessing, their approval for the severance. So this is just a condition of the severance. So in conclusion, based on these criteria, the proposal conforms with the policies of the SDG official plan, consistent with provincial policy statement, is compliant with our zoning bylaw, and again, voting for this zoning will happen at the subsequent council meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Any questions or comments before we go to the public from anybody at this point? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jacob, you say that the forest there is likely to get clear cut,
Yes.
but the owner will be subject to the clear cutting
Yes.
permitting and bylaw?
Need a permit, yes.
He'll need a permit? Okay,
Yes.
thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? I'll ask the clerk. Notes. You guys keep doing that to me.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? Second time, does anyone wish
Oh.
to speak?
Yep. If you can come up to the microphone and just state your name.
My name is Susanna Kwa. I'm a neighbor from Seven Hill Road, adjacent to the property. I have questions because the clear cut has already been done, and there's laws about fencing. My fence has been completely crushed with all the stumps and the amount of dirt. They crushed the entire fence almost from the front, from the part that starts touching my property, all the way to the back. The fence is completely, I have pictures, I have proof. So I don't want to be against their motion to severe, but I would like some respect towards my property. When I called in this matter, I called Mr. Finger, actually at the farm, and they told me they would look into it. They have not. I have an entire fence, over 3,000 feet of fence, completely destroyed. It's crushed. Parts of it, I can't even see it. So, in all due respect, I came tonight because this is the only company, farming company, in the entire North Glengarry that I saw, because I've driven every single road of North Glengarry, that I see mounds of dirt that elevate higher than 12 feet against my property. I do not accept that.
Okay.
So I decided to come tonight to voice my concern about this. I asked them to fix it. I am not gonna pay for repairs. The fence was standing before. It might be old, but the fence was standing. Right now, there is no fence.
Okay.
It's completely non-existent. And I mean, when I walked it, because I was waiting for spring to come and all that, and I went to walk it, I couldn't believe my eyes, what I saw. And also for the animal life, the wild animal life, they created a barrage against the natural course of deers and animals that can cross. Now, there's no way they can cross these mountains. There's no way. It's this high. I mean,
Okay.
it's not acceptable, so
Okay. No,
this is my voice.
yeah.
I'm voicing my concern about it.
understood. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yes, I was not aware of the situation. If you just want to stay, we have 5 minutes. I'll take the information and we'll check into that for sure.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, you want to finish the last one?
Yep. Third and final time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jacob, would you mind just keeping us informed of
Yes.
what transpires here? Because it's a significant concern, I would think.
Yes,
Thank you.
for sure.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Okay, seeing none, no old business, no new business. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Mavin. There being no further business to discuss, the public meeting of planning was adjourned at 5:58 PM.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, we'll take 2 minutes and then start the regular meeting of council. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting of councils, regular meeting of council for Monday, May 11th. I would ask everyone to please stand for the national anthem. Okay, thank you, and welcome to members of council, staff, and the public. Perhaps next time for the national anthem, we have the taped version from the Montreal game, and we can all start ole ole right before it. Everybody good with that? So I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Council Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda of the regular meeting of council Monday, May 11th, 2026.
Thank you. Additions to the agenda?
Yeah,
Councilor
thank you,
Madden.
Mr. Mayor. Just a small discussion on the proposal. I know there's a motion coming at the next council meeting officially, but just a discussion on the counties, if they could form a rural ag committee.
Okay. We'll put that under new business. Thank you. Okay, so motion to accept the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Adoption of the previous minutes, Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council minutes, Monday, April 27th, 2026.
Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried, none opposed. There are no delegations this evening. Moving on to staff reports, Community Services Department, CS 2026-12, application to National Bank Play Your Court program. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report number CS 2026-12, application to National Bank Play Your Court program, and the Council directs staff to submit an application to the National Bank Play Your Court program for funding of up to $100,000 to support the revitalization of the Island Park tennis courts.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So tonight, staff are coming to council to seek support with applying to the National Bank Play Your Court program. As council is aware, we are seeking any grant funding opportunities we can for a number of the aging infrastructure projects that we have on the go in recreation. And as council is aware, the tennis courts at Island Park are in need of revitalization. As such, we'd like to attempt to apply for this grant opportunity. As noted, if successful, it can fund up to $100,000 per project. As council will recall, the Island Park tennis courts will likely cost approximately $250,000 to completely resurface. So if successful, this grant would not cover the entire cost, however, would offset a large chunk of the amount. The program funds projects that are planned to take place in 2027. So if successful, we would have an opportunity to come back as part of the planning for the 2027 budget cycle, should there be an opportunity to take from any available reserves. As such, we are seeking council's support with this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to say, good job on finding something that's, I'm going to say, a little outside the box. This is one that I don't think we've seen before, and I'm hoping that the fact that we don't bank with them doesn't hurt our chances. But at least it's worth a shot, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could the refurbishment include expansion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so this was something we looked at in order to better align with the parameters of this funding opportunity. They typically look for courts that are expanding or have more than 2 courts. As you know, these courts at Island Park do only have 2 courts available, and we did look, and unfortunately with the structure and the way Island Park is laid out, even if we were to turn the courts in another direction or expand off of how they're laid out now, we would interfere with the existing soccer fields in both sides. So we would not be in a position to unfortunately expand as it stands now. Thank you.
Yeah, 'cause it's unfortunate with pickleball getting so, a lot of people playing it that we don't have enough courts for it on the outside. Okay, further questions or comments? I'll call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to staff report CS 2026-13, Maxville Sign Design Concept. Brian, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report number CS 2026-13, Maxville Sign Design Concept, and that Council approve the proposed draft design concept for the Maxville sign project to serve as the basis for design and implementation, subject to any required revisions.
Okay. Thank you. Stephanie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So following a presentation to Council in 2025, staff have returned to present a proposed design concept for this sign in Maxville. So the redesign concept that's being presented to Council tonight is reflective of the previous discussions and direction from Council regarding the desired appearance and character of the sign. So capturing, potentially some of the logos of the partners involved, as opposed to some of the text that was formerly on the previous version of the sign, including North Glengarry's logo on it, incorporating the tartan in behind the Maxville text. As you can see, where the Maxville Fair portion of the sign is pictured on your screen, that would actually be the LED component of the sign, which would be revolving to feature a variety of messaging, advertising, and promotional information. I do want to note that this is, simply a concept that we're ultimately looking for Council's direction and support, with understanding in principle that you are supportive of this type of a design, so that if successful with receiving the Rural Ontario Development funding that we've applied for to offset costs associated to this sign, we would be able to proceed with going back to sign designers to say this is in principle what we would like to have created. Incorporating again the funding partners who have been involved and contributed to this creation and this development. A key piece of this is the need to make sure it's wayfinding signage to align with the requirements of the grant. And as you can see, we're pointing the clear direction of the key areas and spaces that we want the public to be aware of, and how to get there off of Main Street. I should also note that this is intended for discussion purposes only. So final sizing, scale, height, text, graphics, and logos that may be modified prior to the final development. But we're looking for confirmation in principle that Council supports us moving ahead with this sort of a design. It should be noted that we did consult the SDNG counties to ensure that what we're creating aligns with their sign bylaw, being it does exist on a county road. So some of those provisions that we need to be sure in terms of the LED component that we're including needs to ensure that there's shut-off features of the sign during certain hours of the night. There's dimming features and capabilities, and all of that based on one of the proposals that we had previously received for quotes aligns with that. So we do feel confident that we can meet the the functionalities of the SDNG sign bylaw. That being said, one other consideration that I want to note to council is that we will have to consider with the design of the sign to make sure that we're not interfering with any sight lines or impeding any sight lines for traffic in that location. So that is something that we may look to either raise the sign or have a gap at the bottom of it to ensure that there is some sight line still available at that intersection. But nonetheless, we're seeking council's feedback or any recommended changes in order to move forward with at least a concept to be able to push this project through, subject to any questions.
Okay, thank you. What's the timeline for finding out about the grant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would suspect that we should be hearing any time now. It's been quite a while since we submitted the application for the second intake, so I would imagine it should be quite soon that we would hear back. But unfortunately, I don't have a clear timeline right now.
Because I think a few of us received an email in regards to speeding up this process. So, okay, I just want to ask. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for this, Stephanie. It's you know, overall, I think it's a good design, much improved from the first one for sure. You know, I maybe hopefully over time, you know, as you move forward, we could maybe get you know, various different options to look at in terms of various looks, even though, you know, if you go with that general design and then, you know, it's always, I find it easier to be able to understand potential designs when I'm looking at more than one option, because I'm not a designer, obviously. But, you know, I think it's got all of the features it needs for sure, and it's kind of got a nice shape to it. Will it be any smaller than the current one? Because the current one's very large.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The idea would be to not have it as large as the existing sign. I think to align again with the sign bylaw, we would likely have to bring it down a little bit in height.
I see.
But still working within the same general structure of what's there now.
Yeah, because I think it's nice the way you've incorporated the tartan on the Maxfill there, and might want to consider things like the North Glengarry's Celtic Heartland, and in French as well, isn't on there, but it would be more in keeping with our brand, right? I don't know whether you want to consider, you know, options like that or not. My only other comment, other than it's, you know, I like the overall look of it, is there's a lot of logos on there.
Okay. Councilor Martin.
Now, if we were to get this grant, is it gonna cover the full cost? Like, do we know?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the most recent quotes that we've received have been approximately $80,000 to $90,000. With the township's contribution of $15,000 and the other contributions that have been made. Right now, the numbers I have amount to approximately $54,000 contributed by other community partners in addition to the $15,000. So we're not quite there for covering the $80,000 to $90,000, but again, depending on how much money gets back, if successful with the grant, we could be close. And there is an opportunity to work with the sign builders to potentially adjust some features of the sign. As an example, instead of backlit lettering for the Maxville portion of it, perhaps it's just doing a vinyl wrap over the entire sign. So we may be able to work with the sign builder to adjust those costs if need be.
Do we have a time frame from when we agree what design we want to the actual build? Like, is it gonna be months or?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we are experiencing some supplier delays. So we do fully expect, you know, if we were to hit go on this and get the grant money as of tomorrow, it would still be probably months out before we see it come to fruition, just due to the delays with suppliers for this type of infrastructure.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor Madden.
Just one quick one that I agree with, if we can get a few renderings. And, I mean, it's something we can probably do by email, right, before we bring it to a meeting so that we can keep everything moving ahead. But to Deputy Mayor's point, you know, a few different looks. And I'm going to say some of them are probably going to affect the pricing, right? If, depending on how much branding we put on in the backlighting, to your point. So, yeah, just they design. I'm sure they can do up a few things for us.
Yeah, I agree that we might want to see some renderings, but we don't want to, we don't want council to be the one holding up this process. So I think whatever happens, we get it, and if it's a 3-4 day turnaround to have a look at some things, then that should be it. They've waited long enough for this sign, so we need to get it moving. Yeah, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just look quickly. So the program does announce that, or did indicate that approvals were supposed to be issued before the end of the month. However, I would note that they're often a little delayed on that. So it is we are supposed to hear back in the near term, but we are in the province's hands as well.
So this is a provincial? Well, maybe we just make a few phone calls to some of the members of our provincial government, so. Okay. Any further questions or comments at this time? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you, Stephanie. Moving on to Building, Planning and Bylaw Department, BP 2026-16, proposed telecommunications tower in Alexandria. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report BP 2026-16 for the formal request that Shared Tower Inc., application Audrey Barella, planning coordinator, proposed to be considered complete, and that the Township of North Glengarry approves the assessment of the process Shared Tower Inc. has undertaken to date for the construction of one 40-meter telecommunications tower in North Glengarry to be located at 419 Main Street North, Alexandria, Ontario, to improve wireless voice and data services within the township, and that the township issue a formal letter of Shared Tower Inc. with a copy of the ISED in order to permit Shared Tower Inc. to move forward with the installation of the proposed telecommunications tower site.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. So Jacob, we had lots of questions last time. You want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, as you mentioned at last council meeting, Shared Towers had offered to be there. It didn't work out mostly, anyway. So now they're here to answer most of the questions. They also have a presentation before.
Awesome. Okay.
The report that you have, that I made, is basically pretty much the same report. The justification report was updated, and they will answer the questions that the council may have. So just to recap, so there's Shared Tower had applied and did all what they need to do in order to be able to put up the tower at 419 Main Street North in Alexandria, so just on the machine shop property just north of town here. The coverage is about 4 kilometers, so with the other two towers that are now updated on the report, they all communicate together. Shared Tower will explain a little bit more location, justification, and etc. So I guess I should just invite Cheyenne and Audrey that are there. They have a presentation. If you want to go to the podium.
Oh, there. Okay.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a- Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, Clerk, and Councillors for your time and attention this evening. I'm happy to be here in person to introduce myself and Shared Tower and the tower that we are proposing here in Alexandria. So first, about Shared Tower, we are a carrier-neutral infrastructure company, which is a fancy way of saying that we ourselves are not a carrier, but we provide the real estate and the infrastructure for any carrier to co-locate their equipment on. We've developed over 1,500 sites across the country and consider ourselves leaders in the field. Just to quickly explain how the wireless network works, here you can see an illustration of what the wireless network looks like when everything is working well. Towers are placed significantly far apart where there is not any overlap in coverage, but close enough together where there are no gaps. And regardless of whether someone is at home or on their commute or at work, they have adequate capacity capacity and ability to connect to the wireless network. And then this is what it looks like when there is inadequacies in the wireless network. Towers are either placed too far apart or there's not enough in order to service the capacity that is required because of the amount of users or devices. And the purpose of proposing our tower is to alleviate network gaps. We are all familiar with wireless technology in some form or another, primarily through calls, text, and streaming, but there are many other ways that we can interact with the wireless network on a day-to-day basis without even realizing, including your GPS, point-of-sale systems, portable medical devices, and remote learning and work opportunities. To get into the specifics of STC 0942, here we can see in an aerial image of the proposed location. Site selection is determined by many different factors, including the expected usage patterns of people and their devices, local topography, interactions with the existing towers and equipment in the area, line of sight requirements, which is when a tower is, if they're able to communicate with the other towers nearby, if they will be able to communicate that way. And availability, of course, of a willing landlord that wants to lease out their land for a tower. And of course, if it will meet the industry's requirements. So here we have an image of the closest existing telecommunication towers. Both are 3 kilometers and further southwest of our proposed location, which poses a significant coverage gap. Typically in more developed areas, we like to see towers about 1 kilometer apart. And so this would be the cause for the inadequacies in the network here. Here's a close-up of the site sketch for this area, for this plan. So it is a 40-meter monopole with a diameter of about 1 meter at the base and a 10 by 10 square meter compound that will have a chain link fence surrounding it. And all of our towers, and this one in particular, of course, is designed to allow for multi-carrier co-location. So ideally, as many carriers as possible that we could have co-locating on the tower, that would reduce the need for future towers in other areas. Here is a rendering of what it will look like. This is from the nearest point. And this one is from a little bit further away. It might be difficult to see on the screen here. Just to summarize our public consultation requirements, which is why we are here today. So there were a few different components. Firstly, there was a public notification package that was distributed to residents that were within 3 times tower height or 120 meters from the proposed tower location. The notification radius was provided to us by the municipality. In addition to that, we posted in the Glengarry Times and in the Seaway News newspaper to advertise the public commenting period as well. And there were no comments received from any members of the public during the commenting period. I did want to quickly address health and safety, as there was a comment or a question at the last council meeting regarding the safety of cell phone towers. So cell phone towers in Canada are federally regulated, of course, and the safety of them are as well. They're regulated by Safety Code 6, which has determined through thousands of peer-reviewed articles and studies of what the threshold is for potential adverse human effects. Based off of that threshold, Government of Canada has set a 50 times safety margin. So greater than 50 times than the potential point for adverse health effects. This amount is expressed as a percentage. This particular site, after the last council meeting, we made sure to do a Safety Code 6 report, which typically we don't do as we are not placing equipment on the towers, but for our anchor tenant, we use their equipment. And the equipment that is proposed on the tower is 5% of that allowable limit. So you can see that there's those 2 dotted lines. 100% would be that lower dotted line, and then at ground level, we are 5%. So we're pretty much at the bottom of that. And then if you were standing at the nearest rooftop, it would be 15% of that. And that is all I have prepared for you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions, members of council? Go ahead, Councilor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, appreciate it. Question about, you just said rooftop on the nearest residence. What do you guys consider the nearest residence?
It doesn't have to be a residence, nearest rooftop.
Fair enough. I was curious about, go back to residence, I think it was set at 120 meters?
Correct. Yes.
And it was somewhere on Lindsley Street?
Sorry?
It was somewhere on Lindsley Street, if I'm not mistaken.
The tower itself?
No, the closest residence.
Correct, yes, at the southern intersection.
So I'm curious why the residences on 34 that are right across from this weren't on that. I'm going back to your, what do you have it as? Your plan picture of the site with the, there you go. You've got an 80 meter to the property line at 34, and there's residences right across. So we're looking at about, I'm gonna say 100, maybe 110 meters. And I'm gonna say residences on Lindsley are significantly further than that. So I'm just curious if, one, if we have any concerns, and two, how they aren't on the list for closest.
I believe the measurement that you're referring to here is for the hydro line, this 80 meter.
Yep.
So the notification radius is this one here, so it's 120 meters from the point of the tower,
Okay.
not from the property line, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
So it looks like they're covered in that, if you see.
They're in it?
Yeah.
Okay. They wouldn't, they would be our closest residences, no?
Most likely the residence itself would probably not the property line, but they were in the distribution list.
Gotcha.
All of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough. They're aware.
Okay. Councillor Cadell.
Just aside from residences, there's a gym right beside the tower, a gathering place for many people. Does that not create some concern?
We didn't receive any comments from the gym or establishment, so I believe there were no concerns.
Well, if you notify the gym owners, they're one or two people, whereas there are hundreds that go there to use the gym, and they wouldn't have received notification.
Correct. They may not have received a notification package if they were outside of the notification radius. However, we did also post 2 advertisements in 2 newspapers, which would have given another opportunity for people to learn about the proposed tower.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? 1. Motion is carried. 1 opposed.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, I didn't see this when we were doing it. So I'm going to declare. So Karma, you'll take over this one. I am declaring a conflict of interest.
I'll get you.
No, forgot about it.
Okay, we will move on to 6B2, which is the BP 2026-17, the Trillium Landing subdivision request to extend draft plan of subdivision approval. Mayor McDonald has declared a conflict of interest on this, so I am just chairing this one piece of the agenda. Now, who has the, I don't know, I don't have it written down. Okay, you've got the motion? Okay.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Martin, that staff report BP 2026-17 be received and that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry recommends to the United Counties of SDNG Director of Planning Services, Peter Young, to extend draft plan approval for the subdivision known as the Trillium Landing subdivision. Owner is Encore Homes, Inc. SDNG file number 01NG-S-2022, legally described as part of Lot 38 Concession 2, RP 14R 354, Part 4, former geographic township of Law Hill, Township of North Glengarry, County of Glengarry, for an additional 2 years, ending July 20th, 2028.
Thank you, Councillor Madden. Jacob, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Deputy Mayor. As you all know, this is for the, it's called the Trillium Landing subdivision. You probably all know that work has started there, infrastructure has started. So they are well into servicing work, the studies and et cetera, that needs to be done for the draft plan approval. So these are lengthy processes, like they work and studies and everything. So when someone applies for a draft plan of subdivision, they're allowed for a three-year period to complete the draft plan subdivision. In most of the cases, this is not enough time. So the way the Planning Act reads is that you can apply for a 3-year period at the beginning, and then what you have to do is apply to the approval authority, which in this case is the counties. So you can apply for additional time. You can apply for extensions of 2 years at the time to be able to complete your draft plan subdivision. So in this case, the original date that the site plan lapsed was April 21st, 2026. So what the counties decided to do is they applied, it's called an emergency extension. So basically they also, like the owner went to the counties, Monsieur Ali went to the counties, he asked for an extension. They gave him what's called an emergency 3 months extended period. So you do not want this to lapse, otherwise you have to start over. So in this case, he applied for this extension, so he got 3 months. Now we are within that 3 months period. So subject to the support of the township and subject to the approval of the counties, the owner is allowed to ask for an additional 2 years to finish the draft plan subdivision. And I don't know if it's going to happen, but most of the subdivisions, they ask for 2 years at the time, but they ask for it many times. So we may see that extension request more than once. The counties told me one of them, it's the 10th time they ask for an addition. So up until the draft plan, like with all the phasing and all the time that they need to complete servicing in all the phases, they can ask for as many extensions as they want, as long as they have the support from the municipality. So if you see that the subdivision is moving along, work being done, houses are being built in phases and whatnot, the municipality may support this extension. If you see that nothing's happening for 4 years, 6 years, that's when the township may decide not to support the extension. In this case, as it's mentioned in the report, and as you saw on site, work is being done, and it's recommended to support this extension of 2 years, and we'll send the resolution to the counties, which will then basically just simply approve the extension for Ellie to continue the work. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you for that report. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just curiosity, at what point is the plan of subdivision considered complete? Like, is everything built out, everything is done, and then the plan of subdivision is complete, or is the plan of subdivision completed somewhere during the build-out?
It's during the build. It's the draft plan. It's not to the final date of the subdivision. It's just because there's phases
Yep.
So like they have to work on studies and then work with Public Works to see. So it's not when all the houses are built and up until the road is completed. It's really the draft plan of the subdivision itself. So when the site plan is completed, like when they obtain their M plan, they can build houses. But at that point, it is completed. So it's really for infrastructure and work and the site plan itself, the approval of the subdivision, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and presumably it's then got to be done before they're actually building?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
But it goes, like, you can do phasing. That's why. You don't have to do the whole thing all together at once.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions, comments? Nothing? Good to go. Okay, all in favor of the motion? Carried. Thanks very much, Jacob. Let me get the mayor. You're in trouble.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I asked everybody else if they had a conflict of interest and forgot to declare my conflict of interest. So I declared a conflict of interest as the developer is a real estate client of mine. Okay, moving on to Public Works Department, PW 2026, Kenyon Concession 8, S. Bend to Blythe Road. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the council receives report PW 2025-12, Kenyon Concession 8, S. Bend to Blythe Road, for information purposes only, and further, and that council provide direction to include the 50-millimeter asphalt paving option for Kenyon Concession 8 from the South Bend to Blythe Road in the Township 2027 capital budget, subject to the budget deliberation process and final pricing through the annual tender process.
Okay, thank you. Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Kenny Concession 8, this section from the S Bend to Blythe Road has had a lot of work done over the years. When we went and first looked at this section, we did some geotechnical work on it. It was part of our LCB Roads Foundation program. And when we went through there initially, we found that the geotechnical just wasn't suitable for the type of traffic that we had there. So we had an opportunity that came up with the 417 to take some grindings off the road for free, which was fantastic. So we pulverized the road all the way along and placed the findings down for free, which was fantastic. And unfortunately, though, there wasn't enough binder in the material that we were hoping for. We were hoping there would be more binder present, which would have allowed us to essentially lay our overlay paving just right on top of what we had there. Didn't really turn out like that, unfortunately, so it was costing us more per kilometer of asphalt to do, because we needed a structure that would hold up. So we concentrated on the area that had the highest density of residential, which is from the county road past the S Bend, and that's approximately where it stops there on the map. So since then, we've been very successful with our foundation program. We've done a lot of roads. This year, starting at approximately May 20th, we just got the email today, we should be paving the rest of Concession 4 and Loch Garry Road, which is fantastic. We're just finishing up the last culvert on Loch Garry Road this week. So that should all be done before Canada Day. And so we were asked to go and have another look at the rest of the section here. And there's two ways we could go about it. We recommend putting a surface course asphalt down. It is not what if you're building on these roads from scratch and you had all the money in the world, it's not what you do, because you're looking for single load axle resistance of the structure. However, we've been fairly successful with our program so far. We've got a good base on it, so we don't see a reason not to proceed with the thin lift overlay. It is still pricey, and but it services a good section of road that had a hard top surface before. So we recommend that we put that into the budget for 2027, and when that comes up, we evaluate it and put it in there.
Okay, thank you. We've had lots of phone calls on this, so I don't know, Mr. Fraser, if you'd like to make a few comments on behalf of the Concession 8. Yep.
The road was triple chipped in '06, and it lasted 18 years with some patching. But the municipality tore it up, and we expected it to be repaved, and they brought in this fill from 417, which was asphalt. I didn't quite hear you, but asphalt with some fines, but there was a lot of chunks, and they built up about a foot, but as they built it up, they made the road narrower. Well, they didn't build the shoulders out, and the part that they did pave is quite narrow and quite high, and it's difficult for farm machinery to pass people, and without no way to get over a little bit, we got along with the 8th when it was triple chipped, and we had it for 16 or 18 years, and it was to lose it and end up with a lot of potholes and a lot of dust. It's very disappointing, and it didn't quite follow you. You're proposing you wouldn't pave it this year, but you would pave it the next year. But will you address the fact that it's so narrow?
Yeah, go ahead.
Through Mr. Mayor, I wasn't asked to estimate that. We'd actually had a couple of these discussions before, and we talked about how with the use of the road, the preferred option would be actually to grade it out and widen the road and keep it as a gravel surface, because that would be more suitable to the use. But yeah, I was asked to prepare an estimate for paving the rest of it. And we have a minimum maintenance standard. We need to, the double surface was what it was before, was a chip seal, so a double surface chip seal, which is not recommended for agricultural surfaces because, we use some heavy sheet and it's tough on what it is there. So we have a good base there now, and I would probably actually recommend for the use that we have, which is mostly agricultural, that we put the money into actually widening the road. So really it's up to council what we do there, and it'll come back at the budget. But I think probably for the farm use case, actually widening it with the grader would be the better way to go, rather than worrying too much about the surface treatment down. It was fine as it came off the 417 as we grinded up the asphalt there on that road, and I can show you the geotech from it, but it was all silt underneath, which was what was causing the road to fail. So we placed that on, and that material's still good there. So that can be graded out and made wider. But yeah, so that's...
It would be graded out and made wider this year, or not till next year?
No, so we're continuing with our Roads Foundation program. So if you go on Dorney, Concession 4 all the way along, and McCormick Road all the way along. We've gone and rebuilt those, but unfortunately just the way the fines came off, we're unable to do the surface overlay that we wanted, which would just be a topping. But yeah, so we'd plan to rebuild it we could either use these funds to top it, or we could widen it and perhaps do some asphalt a little bit further. But those would be the way to go. The capital budget for this year is already locked in, which was the last sections, which is Loch Garry and the rest of Concession 4. So
I'd like to remind you, this is probably the only road in North Glengarry that goes right across the county, right across, and in a straight line. And I see the road get a traffic counter. They put the traffic counter on in June, but they missed all the traffic, which is last week. And it doesn't give a very true picture of the use of the road. It's a through road, and people that are servicing Laheel part of North Glengarry from Maxwell and all the fertilizer, and they use that road all the time.
that's a really good reason to not pave it, actually, because that's a very high.
Unless you have a lot of...
That's a
I'm on
high
the same road
access.
as Jack, and the potholes on there are so severe that right now I have to replace the control arm of my vehicle because you can't even drive without you going like this.
Not to mention, there was a letter that was sent out to every resident on that road that said the following year it would be paved.
And we paved as much as we could with the geotech.
Okay, so then why didn't it fall to the next budget?
Okay, so I'm gonna just jump in here. We've asked one person to speak. So go ahead, I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, absolutely. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So your concerns regarding width, we'll take a look at. There's standards for road design in this type of scenario. I can see your point as if you add a foot to the road surface, yes, the side slopes eventually eat into the roadway width, but there are like acceptable standards to ensure that the situation you're describing, we can meet or can be met. So as indicated in the report, we're recommending to the council that we spend capital money next year to pave it. However, we do need to do further analysis. So We'll ultimately come back to council with what we think is the best solution there, understanding the residents' concerns and obviously past commitments to residents. But at the present time, we don't have the capital funding to do it this year, regardless of the design scenario. We'll bring back a report as part of our budget next year as to what we think the ultimate and best solution is.
Thank you.
And we'll consult with the residents on the road, so.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, yep.
Sorry, to go. Yeah, that's also a discussion we had at 2 weeks ago at the Rural Ag Committee. And then I know we're talking about the concession 8 here, but it might be for the future, look at our other rural roads that are well-traveled with farming equipment, because the machines, like, we're not in the 50s anymore, so even the tractors and I know these machines, they bend, but it needs to be a little bit wider than, like, let's say on the county road or something, because, you know, if you meet two big tractors, the road is not wide anymore, like, and even the mailbox for that purpose. So I know it's an expensive situation, but it's, as we move on in the years, like, the roads need to be a little bit wider. Yeah, anyways, just.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments this time? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? None? What's the motion?
Yeah.
The motion is to include it in next year's
To
budget.
include it, okay. But no decision on.
No decision on how we're gonna do it, but a decision that, in here it says to pave.
Yeah.
So that's what the motion is, and then we'll take into consideration what's been said today, and then come back with another recommendation. So, okay, good. Okay, sorry, we don't usually take questions, but I'll go ahead.
I'm just wondering, the motion was passed to consider it next year, but there will be consultation if it's not decided to pay with all the residents before
Absolutely.
that decision is made?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, thank you. And moving on to consent agenda, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the items from the consent agenda for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And under new business, Councillor Massey.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion at our rural committee.
Yes, so South Glengarry, I believe, we formed our rural ag committee to deal with the fire burn permit bylaw, and then we had an open green roads bylaws that we formed. I think it's a very useful committee. Even for the problem we just had here with the roads, it's I know our rural residents, they can communicate with the township councilors or whatever, but sometimes it's better in a group that, so basically what we recommended, and I know the motion is coming at the next council meeting, but would like to ask the members of the county council if they would consider at the county level forming a committee like this also, because that would help a lot, like, you know, with the tree planting alongside the roads. It's just that would be a very simple committee, and it wouldn't have to be all on all the time, but just when these matters concern the rural residents come about, then we would have it, you guys would have a committee up there. So it's basically just a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. I think county council was moving towards being in favor of that. And yeah, I think it's important because we went up, we started putting up trees on the side of a road and didn't consult with the farmers. And I think that's important to do. I do believe in having tree cover, but I think it has to be done smartly. And go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, from what I remember, Councillor Massey, at the time, there was certainly consensus around the county table that we needed to look at this and look at, as the mayor said, adequate public consultation. And as far as I could tell, county council has not moved away from the plan to establish some sort of committee, whether it's ad hoc or a standing committee or what. I don't, none of that has been decided. But as far as I know, there is no movement to move away from that.
So it's good, though, to bring a resolution from our council forward, just to show the support, not only from the mayor and deputy mayor sitting on county council, but our entire council. So I think that's important. Any further questions or comments on that? Okay, thank you, Councillor Massey. Notice of motion, next regular meeting of council is Monday, May 25th, 2026, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. And I will open it up to question period. If anyone in the audience has a question that they would like to pose. Nobody? Okay. Thank you. We will be going in closed session to discuss staffing update, and as this matter deals with labor relations or employee negotiations, they may be discussed in closed session under Section 239 2D of the Ontario Municipal Act. So we'll take a 5-minute break and then come back for a closed session. So thank you, everyone, for joining us and coming out. It's great to see some people in the seats, and thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are just coming out of camera session. I'll ask Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden. The council now rise and report from the in-camera session held on Monday, May 11th, 2026, during the regular council meeting, and that there are no reportable items arising from the closed session, and that the regular meeting of council now resumes at 7:34 p.m.
Okay, all those in favor? Motion is carried. And ratification bylaw, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Council Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry adopt bylaw 28-2026, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, and that bylaw 28-2026 be read a first, second, third time and enacted in open council this 11th day of May 2026.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Martin, adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that there be no further business to discuss. The meeting was adjourned at 7:35 PM.
7:35 PM. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And as we've been saying for another week, go Habs, go. Have a great night.